The Pod Network Entertainment.
Who's ready for story time?
What's going on? This is Xavier Woods, aka Austin Creed.
Let me talk to you.
Hello, WWE Universe in the Philippines. This is Charlotte.
Hey everyone, this is Jeff Cobb.
I have to finish the story.
We are pretty deadly. Yes, boy. Yes, boy.
Run!
Bang! The sniper is shooting you down. This is TMDK's Robbie Eagles.
Hey, this is the Cosmic Cactus, Paul London.
Hello, my name is Ilya Dragunov, the Czar, the NXT champion, and you're listening to...
And you're listening to...
And you're listening. And you are listening.
And you're listening
to the Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
To the Wrestling Podcast. Yeah.
Watching and listening to the longest running weekly episodic Filipino wrestling podcast. This is the Wrestling Podcast. Stancy, Romoran, and Emile Nate checking in on a Thursday. Sabi nga ni Emile nung pre-show, week 3 of 52, and we are about a couple of weeks away from the 2024 Royal Rumble. So we hope na ready na kayo. We hope lahat kayo nanalo na rin sa Lotto. Kasi madali nilang pala manalo sa Lotto these days. And we hope that everybody is in good spirits heading into the third weekend of the year. We have a lot to talk about as usual, and we have to start by putting over our Royal Rumble viewing party at Skinny Mike's that is happening on January 28. That's Sunday morning. Doors open at 8 a.m., 9 a.m. yung start ng main show. Early bird tickets still available at 350 pesos. May kasama na yung free iced tea, and you get a chance to win a Rocky Maya via Funko Pop courtesy of our friends from Everybody's Toys and Collectibles. It's in the next slide, babyface producer Jasper. Walk-in tickets are at 450 pesos, and if you want to win the Funko Pop, okay lang din naman kahit na walk-in ticket holder ka. But just so you know, we've already sold 55 tickets as of tonight. Alright, so konti na lang, mapupuno na natin yung Skinny Mike Sports Bar, and a little bit more, you might actually force the place to open yung top floor. So that would be nice. Emile is doing, sorry, yeah.
Wala namang malaking NBA game on that date.
Yeah, parang wala naman. Parang wala naman.
Yep.
That's good. Kasi that's our actual competition sa Skinny Mikes.
Wala na rin Miss Universe, diba? Tapos na yun, diba? Last month?
Yes. Ang NFL na lang ang medyo.
Yeah, the NFL. Yeah.
That might be pala. It's the NFL playoffs nga pala. Anyway, yeah.
Yun, i-outnumber na lang natin yung mga NFL fans.
Well, we
natin yung Skinny Mike.
Approve naman kami ni Sir Ruben. So, it's official, you know. So, baka sila yung mapaano sa second floor.
Basta we want to be having a good time on January 28. You can get your tickets at tinyurl.com/rumble2024. Good job, babyface producer Jasper, for putting that sa ticker. Again, it is tinyurl.com/rumble2024. Get your tickets now. Hope to see you there. Marami na nagsasabi na kita-kits tayo. We also got to give a shout out to our friends from Hobby Stadium. They're also one of our venue partners for our regular events. Pero wala kami sa Hobby Stadium for the Royal Rumble, but they've got their own viewing party. It's also happening at around the same time. I believe tickets are at 300 pesos sa Hobby Stadium. So pag mas malapit kayo sa New Manila, sa Erod, yun, doon kayo sa Hobby Stadium. Okay din naman, masaya din naman doon. Pero hindi kami in charge doon. Wala kaming kinalaman sa viewing party sa Hobby Stadium for the Royal Rumble.
But they're our friends, yeah.
Yes, they are our friends, and we'll be doing some more events with Hobby Stadium later on this year. All right, Emile, let the people know about our Patreon program.
All right, so you could support the pod through our Patreon program. It's at patreon.com/wrestling podcast right there below. Thank you, Jasper, for the for putting that up. You'll get some benefits, of course, by joining our Patreon. Of course, you get to join in on our Discord server and talk to us and interact with us and talk to your fellow podcasts and discuss about everything and anything under the sun. And also, we host some watch parties in there for your favorite PLEs and pay-per-views. Not happening though for the Royal Rumble because we're gonna have a in-person viewing party. But for the other PLEs and pay-per-views for the rest of the year, so we'll host some watch parties in there, and you'll also get some review content of the weekly wrestling shows courtesy of Rowan and Ro, like Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, the weekend AEW shows, NXT, all that. And if you are a part of our Patreon program, you get some discounts on the service fees sa pasabays that we actually did last month, and we're planning to do the next
dumating
one.
na.
Yeah, dumating na. Yes. So if you want to join on the next one and want to get your authentic wrestling merch, you could do that. And again, by subscribing to our Patreon, you're pretty much supporting everything that we do here on the pod. So again, it's at patreon.com/wrestling podcast.
All right, and it's time for some happy roll noises para matuwa naman si Ali / Adore.
Yeah! This morning and this afternoon, I was watching and catching up on Raw and NXT to prepare for our show tonight. Kasi, you know, it's free. It's fucking free on Blast TV. It's free naman yan kasi naka-converge ako sa bahay. But it's available for a really, really minimal cost for everyone else. Guys, I don't have to, you know, go over to that site for WWE main roster and, you know, figure out which stream, which feed I'm gonna watch. And then, you know, I don't have to close the tab in time before the dog comes on at the end. Because I have everything Raw, NXT, and SmackDown on Blast TV, guys. Yo, this is it. This is the solution you have been looking for. This is the solution for your main roster needs. Malay mo, isang araw, balang araw, dagdagan din na ng AEW, diba? You never know, right? So if you don't patronize this, if you don't bring in the numbers for Blast TV, they might take it away from us. They might take away free, legit WWE main roster programming. So head on over to blasttv.ph over there. It's right there on the graphic. Subscribe na kayo kung di pa kayo nagsubscribe. Converge kayo, sign up na kayo, libre lang. And, you know, let's all watch WWE live as it happens on in the US and on demand right after. That's it for the happy noises.
Yes, WWE on Blast TV, the real MVP.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's talk about some actual wrestling, and we're gonna start off with Raw. Seth freaking Rollins main evented against Jinder Mahal. It was the World Heavyweight Championship match heard around the world, but after the match, it was reported na na-injured talaga si Seth Rollins. So hindi pa natin alam yung full extent ng details, ng injury itself, how it happened, anong part ng legs niya affected. Alam lang natin na nung natapos yung match, iika-ika siya pabalik sa locker room based on yung mga tao na nandun sa Little Rock, Arkansas nung Monday Night Raw. So my question to you guys is, if Seth Rollins is injured enough to be taken out of the WrestleMania plans and, God forbid, be stripped of the World Heavyweight Championship, what do we do here?
I don't know. Okay, kasi it feels I said it differently like a couple of weeks ago, but it's starting to feel like Rock versus Roman going to that for Roman. I don't know if that means they're gonna do 2 nights for Roman, you know, have him pull double duty for all the times he's missed, for all the shows he's missed
Offset.
over the offset. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but I don't know. Kayo kasi, like, personally, I know Cody is a stickler for this, but if Cody wins the World Heavyweight Championship instead of the WWE Championship, is it still finishing the story? I mean, technically, do you count? If you were Cody, does it count for you? Is the story finished, or is just one arc finished and then the main story that he wants to finish isn't yet? I don't know. So many other people deserve it. Maraming deserving. It's like the Roman Reigns situation where you put up a lot of guys against the champion, and most of them are actually pretty deserving. So, what's I don't know. Because I want to know if you would consider this a finishing of the story, if it were you. Because for me, I think it would be. Because big championship, it's not the main championship I wanted. It's not the historic. It's not the storied championship that I was going for, but it is a world championship, and I could count myself a world champion if I win it. So, what's your take on this?
Nah, I wouldn't be satisfied if Cody just win the World Heavyweight Championship. Kasi early on in the story, Cody yung talagang ini-aim niya was the WWE Championship, just like they've said in the comments. Because he specified that he's going after the WWE Championship. When actually, I remember when this was introduced, Cody said that's not his. The World Heavyweight Championship is not his goal. His goal is going after the big one, the WWE Championship, and going after Roman kasi tinalo nga siya last year. So I think the proper way to finish the story is for Cody to go over Roman. If Cody does something else, it wouldn't really satisfy everyone, and it wouldn't really be the finish to the story that people have always wanted.
How sad would it be if yun nga, no, Cody doesn't get to finish the story kasi okay, he's World Heavyweight Champion, then like in a year or two, he's smashing thrones again.
I don't know. But I agree. I forgot. Somebody mentioned it. Julian mentioned it. Dapat nga si Drew. I did want Drew to win the championship nga pala from Seth all those months ago. So yeah, that's what I would go with. Punk, have Drew win now. Di pa naman up yung kontrata niya. Then Punk can win the Rumble, and then they can do that match. It's not versus Seth, but all right, that's the next question pala that we have pala.
Yeah, diba? Ito rin, let's say Seth is out of the Rumble plans, out of the WrestleMania plans. What do you do with Punk? And I think we just answered it kasi Drew McIntyre, to be fair to him, has also been poking the bear being CM Punk, diba? So even if wala si Seth, Drew is right there and he's been saying all the things that yung mga wala sa kulto ni Punk have been saying.
Yeah, pero the money is still in Seth Punk kasi Seth had been the guy who poked that bear first kasi siya yung before the idea of Punk coming back to WWE was a twinkle in your father's eye. He was talking shit about him, diba, already. So it's not the same. I mean, I think they can do a good job of writing that story. I said Drew is really good at delivering these things, and I think may konting input na siya on how he wants to portray himself or how his story is being portrayed, whether it's real or not, or how real it is. So I don't mind that. It's just that sayang din yung pera. But I guess it's an injury. You can't really do much about that if that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Wala ka magagawa. Di mo control yan eh.
Yeah, same thoughts here. Plus, they actually already planted the seeds talaga for Drew and Punk to go after each other. So parang naging happy coincidence na they had that promo, and they kind of started planting the seeds for a feud there, and then nagkataon na Seth, who's originally slated to be the one to face Punk at Mania, and got injured. So at least parang in a way they had a backup in mind, and baka magamit na nila yung backup nila in Drew, diba?
Mm-hmm. All right. Anything else on Seth and Jinder and that title defense or the injury that you guys want to talk about?
No. I'm going to talk about this. I'll save my thoughts on the actual match for picks of the week because I am making it my pick of the week.
Okay. Interesting. All right. All right. All right, let's move on here to Mommy versus the Man, which we got a taste of on Monday Night Raw. And it wasn't something that I personally foresaw heading into 2024, but now that we have it, I am all in. I think this is going to be pretty interesting since it's been a while na underdog si Becky Lynch heading into WrestleMania season. So whether or not Becky actually wins the Rumble, having her face Rhea at WrestleMania 40 seems like a great match.
Oh, yeah. This is a match that people have been waiting for ever since Rhea won the Women's World Championship last year. And I think they have done a good job of keeping them separate for a while, even though they are on the same brand, which is Raw. Because they kept Becky busy feuding with other wrestlers, and she even dipped her toes to NXT for most of last year. So
yeah,
now I think we're at a point na it's time. It's time that we have this in time for the biggest show of the year.
Yeah, it's so good. I was just writing about this kanina on my review, and it's one of those things that I really admire Becky for being one of the few people that isn't afraid to talk about herself in an existential way. Diba? Like I want a lot of these wrestlers to talk about themselves, how they feel about themselves, how they feel about their lives, their careers, their standing as pro wrestlers. Diba? Like I want The Rock to talk about that stuff. I want LA Knight to talk about that stuff, especially after how many interviews LA Knight has given talking about his career story, diba? His life story. And si Becky lang yung isa sa mga konting gumagawa nun eh. She says that she needs to prove to herself that she is an elite wrestler by beating Rhea Ripley. But Rhea Ripley is the one she has to beat to prove that. And I really enjoy stories like this. I don't know if a lot of people feel the same way, but this is how you establish the legend of your stardom, diba? of your character, diba? And I'm already sold. I'm already sold on this story. It is the first thing involving Rhea Ripley that I've been interested in since the build up to WrestleMania last year, diba? So for the most part, she'd been coasting along and messing with the men that the Judgment Day are feuding with. Pero ngayon, somebody is actually finally giving her a serious story and making her the final boss in their personal journey of redemption or development or whatever you want to call it. So I like this a lot. I like this so much, and I hope it stretches all the way to WrestleMania. I think she's doing this to call her shot sa Rumble, diba?
Yeah. No, she was saying that she's calling her shot. Now she'll win the Rumble, then go on to face Rhea.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was saying. So that makes her another favorite, but I don't think she needs the Rumble win to end up challenging Rhea anyway. So pwede naman yan.
Yeah, ang ganda ng story kasi yung Rhea has to be re-established as the final boss of the division, and it's great that you have someone like Becky who actually looks tiny next to Rhea Ripley. I didn't realize na ang liit pala niya compared to Rhea. And when Becky had that doubt in her eye and sinabi niya, I need to know if I'm still on that level or something to that effect, diba? Or na parang kaya ba kitang talunin. It's so good because Becky has gone through so much na maybe it did take this long for her to go back into underdog mode. Kasi after she's been the unbeatable champion, the heel, diba? The man, big time Bex, parang nakakalimutan natin na there was a time when she was the most beloved underdog in the entire WWE, maybe even the entire world of wrestling. So it's great that she kind of gets a bit of a reset here as a character, especially na pinagtambal sila ni Rhea Ripley.
Yeah. Have we seen this before? I don't think we've ever seen it before.
Parang hindi pa.
No.
Actually,
it's
of
fresh.
the four horsewomen, Rhea's only faced Charlotte.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to see her go through all four horsewomen. I mean, obviously, Mercedes is not happening, pero, it would be nice for her to, go through all four horsewomen.
Yeah. It also is because Charlotte is the only one who's always champion anyway. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah, yun yung nangyari.
Sabi ni Lance, plot twist, Becky versus Rhea versus R-Truth at Mania. Tapos maglilive, laugh, love sila. Sige.
Push mo yan. Sige.
All right. Let's move on to another bit on Raw that really caught our attention here, and that's the feud between Imperium and the New Day. So, I don't know if this was meant to be a one-off as well, but after Giovanni Vinci got injured in that match against Kofi Kingston, and then Ludwig Kaiser took it out on Kofi, now Xavier Woods has come back, and he wants his pound of flesh. It's actually pretty good na, naglalaban sila. Pero, there's still a man down because Big E still hasn't made his return. So, where do you think this one is going to go?
It's Jay. Jay is their third man because he's been the one interacting with the New Day along with another. But Jay was in the match when Kofi inadvertently injured Vinci, diba? So siya yung partner niya doon. So by extension or by association, he got dragged into this. So this is so fun. I didn't realize I needed it until they activated yung angry Kaiser, and then even Xavier Woods is angry. Then they're now chopping the fuck out of each other, and everyone's hurting each other. May drive-by na nangyayari, and it's so much fun. I really want. I mean, if Big E could come back, I want the end game to be Big E versus Gunther, or Kofi versus Gunther one more time for the Intercontinental Championship. But obviously they're building it up for Jay, and I don't actually mind it being main event Jay's first singles championship, diba? I think that was what's missing. That was what was missing from him after he split with Jimmy, diba? So that's actually not a bad idea. it could be fun, and it's a nice little side quest for I guess Gunther, if the rumors of him being given Brock at WrestleMania are in any way true.
Do you realize that you just booked like 2 or 3 WrestleMania matches in one go? Kasi, diba, you take the championship off of Gunther, so now it's Jay, and he gets Jimmy at WrestleMania. Then you get Gunther versus Lesnar at WrestleMania as well. Parang ano kayo, you hit 2 birds with 1 stone.
That's how good we've been having it lately, I think.
Yeah.
Diba?
Exactly. Yeah. And pero you know what? In a perfect world, this would lead to Biggie versus Gunter for the IC title. But fortunately, we are not living in a perfect world. But nonetheless, I love how physical this feud is. And you know, Stan, like you said, I don't know if that was the original intention or if they just rolled with it after the injury to Vinci. Nonetheless, you know, either way, this is something we don't often see in WWE programming. And the fact that it involves the New Day, one of the most wholesome acts in the company, makes it even better kasi lumalabas yung vicious side ng New Day. And we saw that on Raw with that very vicious match that Woods and Kaiser had. So, you know, I thought this
visual
was just...
ni Woods na duguan yung bibig niya tapos yung
exactly.
steps, diba?
Yeah,
Babato niya kay Kaiser.
God. Yeah, that was so good. I thought this was gonna be a one-off, but I'm invested in it now, and I'm looking forward to see kung sino ba talaga yung rest back. Although it would likely be Jey Uso, but still, I'm looking forward to Jey Uso going up against Gunther for the IC titles.
Shout out to Ludwig Kaiser for having the really nice LK logo na parang Calvin Klein ripoff, and then it has European excellence in the middle. I actually dig that. And for him and Gunther having that moment where Gunther hugged him. Diba? It was a nice way to wrap yung story nila na parang patalo si Kaiser, and then now he's gotten back into the ring general's good graces.
I mean, hopefully, Carlo's right. Like I like Vicious Imperium. Like I did not like yung tease of, you know, in-group tension. Nobody asked for that. Everybody wants Imperium to stay together. Parang ang masyadong soon to tease the breakup of Imperium.
Plus, one of the problems I had with Imperium last year was kasi before in NXT, they were treated as equals, like all the members of Imperium. But when they stepped into the main roster, for a while it looks like naging goons lang si Kaiser and Vinci. But now, I think we're at the point na lalabas na ulit yung vicious tag team when Vinci comes back, and with these two running roughshod through the entire roster. So I'm looking forward to a new Imperium this year.
Yeah. So I just looked back at the history of Imperium in WWE, and they've actually been around as a stable for almost 5 years. That's longer than Evolution's run and the Brood's run combined.
But like 3 of those years were in NXT UK though.
Sure, but it's still WWE canon.
Yeah, pero kaya I mean like in the main roster, they've only been together for coming into 2 years too, diba? So there is still a lot of ground to be covered with Imperium as a unit. Tsaka, yun nga, sabi ni Emile na when they went to the main roster under Vince, nagmukhang goons yung dalawa, diba? But they're not, diba? You wouldn't be having this problem if the tag team championships were split, you know?
Yeah, it would be nice to see Kaiser and Vinci hold up the tag team championships alongside Intercontinental Champion Gunther. So, all right. Let's cross over to SmackDown here. And what did you guys think of yung tease? Kasi diba, si Nick Aldis, he booked a 6-man match between Roman's 3 contenders against the Bloodline, pero wala si Roman. So all throughout the episode, I was actually thinking, is Roman gonna come out, or are they gonna get a temporary ally for the night? Because like, pretty sure na wala namang bagong member ng Bloodline who would randomly appear on a random January episode of SmackDown. So did the tease work for you guys?
I can't answer that because I watched SmackDown after it happened, so I know what happens.
Yeah. Pero ako, I'm actually glad to see the progression of what happened on SmackDown kasi talagang walang kakampi yung Bloodline sa locker room. Talaga, it's either people who the Bloodline doesn't want to be associated with them, or people who talagang despises the bloodline. Even the heels, some of them despises the bloodline, and I love it kasi nagkakaroon na ng consequences yung mga actions ni Roman back then na when the bloodline is outnumbered, no one's there to help you, and it's awesome. I am all in for the downfall of the bloodline, and this looks like a first step towards that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think seryoso naman nila. But yes, I can't comment on this because I knew what happened when I was watching SmackDown. But it was interesting that they didn't try to plug that hole. Like, okay, well, that's a Roman, so we are making this his regular absence a part of the story. And it worked. I like it when they don't try to play with your intelligence like that. Di ka nila ginagago. Sabi ni Nick Aldis, wala kayong di wala kayong partner, di ba? So,
di 3-on-2 kayo, malas eh, wala kayong friends eh.
Problema yun eh.
That brings me to my appreciation for the Nick Aldis character, which just grows and grows by the week. And we've talked about how Nick Aldis has been a very fascinating presence, especially kung pinagtapat siya kay Roman Reigns, di ba? And this is something that our friend and patron Lance pointed out on Discord. Na Nick Aldis this week did something very subtle during that promo with sina Paul Heyman. And Paul Heyman tried to grab the mic from Nick Aldis, and then si Nick Aldis held onto the mic with a tight grip. So hindi siya maagaw from him ni Paul Heyman, which, if you're paying attention, is a good reminder na Nick Aldis is built. He's physically strong. And if push came to shove, this guy might actually throw down, di ba? So it's a good way to really assert yung pagka-authoritative ni Nick Aldis na the dude has balls and you cannot mess around with this man's show and this man's job. So hardest working general manager in pro wrestling today. I really appreciate how every week he does what he can to keep the bloodline in check. And I think ito talaga yung nagkulang dun sa first few years of the bloodline's run where, they got to do whatever they wanted.
You mean when Vince was running the show? Well, some Triple H did it. But to that point, I say again, I'm going to reinforce my comments from the previous week. Now, if I am Adam Pearce, I will ask my boss for a monumental, significant raise. Because apparently, you can write competent and authoritative general managers. And they did not do that for me. So, pwede pala yun eh, diba? So, okay, I made myself look like a fool for you, like the Cranberries. And now I demand just compensation for being the laughingstock and the scapegoat, no Jack Perry, of all the Bloodline shenanigans for the past 3 years.
To be fair, Adam Pearce did have that 2-week stretch about where he was being put in the ring against Roman Reigns.
Oh, right.
That was like 2 weeks.
That was 2 weeks na umasa tayo na, wow, former NWA champion Adam Pearce is gonna wrestle in WWE.
No, it's actually pretty annoying that it took you a new hire to establish the fact that you can have a general manager na may bass in his voice. So,
hindi lang yung bass in the voice. It's really, being a babyface na hindi pushover. Kasi Teddy Long was a babyface, but I would argue that he was actually a pushover as a GM.
He was a senior citizen. He was a senior citizen, though.
No, before he was a senior citizen, it was easy to run over Teddy Long.
You say he was a manager, though. You can't run over Nick Aldis because that man is a former world's heavyweight champion.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, so is Adam Pearce.
Yeah, so is Adam Pearce.
And then the thing with Teddy Long, like what made him somewhat untouchable was, meron siyang Undertaker as rest back.
Yeah.
Oh, you go 1-on-1 with the Undertaker. Nick Aldis does not need the Undertaker.
Adam Pearce did not have the Undertaker. Did not have prime Undertaker.
Renz, we get it. You love Imperium.
Yeah.
We get it, man.
Yeah.
Anything else on this segment on SmackDown?
No, yun lang naman. Let's just remember that we should also give the creative team their flowers for making Nick Aldis look really strong.
Yeah, for sure. For people who don't get it, diba? Meron ding writers even for the supposed NPCs. Even yung mga backstage interviewers, may writers din yan. Okay? So, just because people from outside the system rant about the writers. It doesn't mean they're all bad. May naiaambag din naman sila. Right? So, yun lang. Just for people who are easy to persuade na, writers, bad. Creative team, only wrestlers.
Hollywood writers,
diba?
bad, yeah.
May ambag din sila, guys.
Yeah.
For one, marunong sila umarte.
Tsaka, if for those who are still bagging on yung Hollywood types na nasa WWE, please, I implore you to listen to the first season of Freddie Prinze Jr.'s podcast. It is a really good look. And he doesn't quite get it all the time because he's a wrestling fan first and foremost, but he brings in a lot of important insight as a screenwriter to the WWE's creative process.
Yeah. So yun, marami kayong mapupulot from that podcast, Wrestling with Freddie. And that's going to do it for part 1 of our Wrestling podcast live stream. As you know, we've been shortening our episodes, just tinkering with the format. Hopefully, mas madali siyang pakinggan, mas madali mag-subscribe at mag-follow sa Wrestling podcast. All right? So, go catch part 2 where we talk about Grayson Waller protecting the business live on Australian morning television. We've got some stuff on NXT as well, relating to Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes and their feud, and the Young Bucks and how they now want to go by Nicholas and Matthew Jackson, and how they're referencing the cancerous, self-serving, toxic superstars of the past and yung crusade nila against them. Until then, though, my name is Stancy, and on behalf of Ro Moran and Emile Nate, thank you for checking out the Wrestling podcast. This ends this episode. Stay safe, stay healthy, and don't be a dick. Wrestling podcast out. Later, weirdos.
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and not meant to harm any religion, ethnicity, group, organization, company, or individual.